Less than 2 weeks until Texas Tech football officially kicks off their 2023 campaign, and that can only mean one thing. A lot of national pundits are putting out their predictions for the Red Raiders, and well, one really stood out, and that's Brett McMurphy over at the Action Network. Where does he have the Red Raiders projected to finish in the Big 12, and what bowl game does he have the Red Raiders playing in? Hint, it's a pretty big one. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the most interactive Texas Tech community here on YouTube. We are 8,500 subscribers strong and counting. We want to get that number to 10,000 and spread the word of Texas Tech throughout the Big 12 with a lot of new Big 12 followers here. We appreciate that. We'll be talking about the Big 12 weekly here on the podcast, but we'll also be talking more in depth about Texas Tech as their season starts to ramp up. So if you want to be a part of the most interactive community of Texas Tech fans and Big 12 fans here on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button today. All right, let's jump into this as Brett McMurphy of the Action Network always puts out his weekly projections for bowl games going into the season and then updates it weekly as well throughout the season. And let's just say he is high on the Red Raiders. Okay, let's just start with that as Brett McMurphy of the Action Network actually has the Red Raiders playing in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl against the LSU Tigers at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Listen, it's one of those things when you look at Brett McMurphy and what he's kind of said about Texas Tech all off season long, the shoe fits, right? This isn't a guy that's trying to, get a gotcha moment or anything or try and get some, clicks and everything from Texas Tech fans. No, he's been on this Joey McGuire bandwagon since the jump, right? And he's proven it all off season, even having Texas Tech ranked as the number 11 team in his preseason AP Top 25 poll. Again, listen, he's been the biggest supporter from a national media standpoint for the Red Raiders this year, and really since Joey McGuire has showed up. And again, it's one of those things for me where I know what people are saying watching this video. Listen, it's one guy's projections. What does it matter, RC? Here's the thing. When it comes down to it, like it or not, these are the people that are putting your program out there at a national level. And if they're putting your program out there in a positive light, that is a good thing, first and foremost. Secondly, you got to understand from the media perspective, this is what it's about, right? You got to find that team that maybe others aren't on early and you ride with them. And Brett McMurphy has done that and then some, even since last year. Now, he jumped on the Joey McGuire bandwagon right around midway through last year. Like the hire, you can go back and check out his thoughts on that. But when it comes down to it, from the jump, after that Ole Miss win down in Houston in the Texas Bowl, Brett McMurphy said that Texas Tech was going to be an absolute problem. So he's backing up his words with his actions, no pun intended on that network right there. But I really like this in terms of the national notoriety. Again, there's been a lot of Texas Tech fans in my comments and my mentions on Twitter. By the way, you can follow me at RCMB323 over on Twitter that say, RC, why does Texas Tech never get enough national notoriety? They always think we're the little brother or whatever term or phrase they want to use, right? Well, you're getting that notoriety right now. But then I also see people where it's like, I want to be the underdog. I don't want anybody to know we're coming. Listen, like it or not, people know Texas Tech in the Big 12. And that's the only thing that matters, right? When it comes down to it. The schools that you're playing, not the fan bases, right? But the schools you're playing, I can promise you this, they're taking them seriously, right? You think about it. Kansas State, they're taking them seriously. They know what could have happened last year in Manhattan if one or two plays go the Red Raider way. You think Sonny Dykes down in Fort Worth isn't taking Texas Tech seriously? You think other schools like Steve Sarkisian isn't either down after what happened last year out in the 806? Like, you got to think about this a little bit in terms of, yes, this is great for Texas Tech from the standpoint of notoriety. National media coverage is a good thing. The more Texas Tech is talked about on a national landscape, the better for this program. So I love this from Brett McMurphy from the standpoint of what it provides for Texas Tech and being in a positive light, mind you, because I do think the Red Raiders are going to be a very damn good football team this year. And it's good to see a guy that Brett McMurphy, a guy that I've liked all the way back to his ESPN days, also sees that. So let me know down in the comments below, do you agree or disagree with Brett McMurphy's take of Texas Tech and their bowl projection? Again, it was the Goodyear Cotton Bowl in Arlington a New Year's Six Bowl for the Red Raiders against the LSU Tigers and Brian Kelly. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this by simply typing an A down in the comment or a D for disagree. All right, let's look around the Big 12 now in terms of what Brett McMurphy had for the rest of the conference. And again, he really likes the Big 12 this year. He has 10 teams playing in a bowl game, 71.4%. But let's jump into them. You can see them at the bottom of your screen. If you're watching for another school, it'll pop up down there. And again, he updates these weekly. Okay, so this is going to be a kind of a living organism of projections for Brett McMurphy. Let's start with TCU. He's got them in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl facing the Wildcats of Kentucky and one of the Stoops brothers. Texas in the Valero Alamo Bowl versus Southern Cal. That would be fun. Lincoln Riley once again facing off against UT. Then he's got Kansas State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That one's down in Orlando. I think that was like the Camping World Bowl or whatever. In Orlando, they changed it to Pop-Tarts, and now I kind of want a Pop-Tart, so I may eat one after this video. They play the Tar Heels in his projections, Oklahoma in the Texas Bowl against Mississippi State. Then you've got Baylor in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl versus Maryland, Oklahoma State in the First Responders Bowl versus the Spartans of Michigan State. Kansas in the Birmingham Bowl versus Florida. That would be an interesting one for sure. BYU in the Gasparilla Bowl. What is a Gasparilla? Somebody let me know down in the comments. Versus the Gamecocks of South Carolina. And then UCF in the Independence Bowl versus Arizona State, a soon-to-be Big 12 member. Again, in total, you've got 10 of the Big 12 schools in the bowl season. And that's big for the Big 12 as a conference. 71.4%. Again, this is the 1 year where there's 14 teams. Remember that, right? That's a big deal when it's all said and done, right? And I think for me, when you look at the landscape of the Big 12, you're in good shape. You go in and you play in 10 bowl games. There's a lot of national notoriety that comes with this. Now, I'm of the mind that maybe there's one or two mini bowls out there. But hey, if they make money, they make money, right? I think that that's at the end of the day what it is. Let me know down in the comments, though. I'm interested. I didn't even have this on the bottom line. How many teams do you think make a bowl game from the Big 12 this year? You going 10, over, under? Let me know down in the comments below. And again, the big one in this video was Brett McMurphy has Texas Tech playing in the New Year's Six Bowl, right? That means he has them winning the Big 12, right? If you look at this. And the other teams below them, TCU, Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, 3 of those teams were picked to finish higher than Texas Tech in the Big 12. It'll be interesting where it goes. But when you look at everything in terms of if it were to happen and if there were to be that TCU of this year, and it's kind of annoying to hear that over and over again, but I get it from that perspective in terms of there's got to be one, right? And you got to push that narrative if you're from the media aspect of it. Texas Tech feels like the most likely team due to their experience, what they did to finish last season, and just overall roster depth in terms of they've got multiple guys at each position that should be solid players at the bare minimum for the Red Raiders at their respective positions. And hey, not to mention you have arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the conference in Tyler Shuck when he's healthy, as he is 8-1 in games that he started for the Red Raiders in his time in the AO6. One more time, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to stay on the know in Texas Tech football in the community all year long, whether we're giving you the latest breaking news, rumors, projections, updates, and everything in between. Join one of the fastest growing, well, not even one of the fastest growing, the fastest growing Texas Tech community here on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button to stay in the know all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.